Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Kona Lisa Mahu with Lighthouse News and Notes, and I am here with a very special team and guest. We're with the Center for Planetary Management, and we have Machiventa with us today, Machiventa Melchizedek via Daniel Raphael, and we're very excited to be able to even interview Machiventa today. So in our audience is our Center for Planetary Management, including our guests. When I call your name, just recognize yourself. We have Bob in Colorado, part of our team, Stefan in Washington, Jack in France, Martha in South Africa, Juan in Venezuela, and of course, Daniel and his lovely wife, Cheryl, in Colorado. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you so much. This Center for Planetary Management could not be possible without this team and all of the seeds that were planted prior to us and watered along the way to get us here today. So thank you so much, team, for all of your work. So without too much mention, most of you are visiting with us. You know Daniel Raphael and his work. And if you don't, you're going to become acquainted with it. But Daniel has been a transmitter receiver for Machiventa for many, many years. And we are just so excited, Daniel, to have you with us today and for you to bring Machiventa to the world in this format. It's very new and very different than giving a transmission and sending out paper copies. So we're happy about that. Do you have any opening statements before we hear from Machiventa?
Yes, he will make a long statement, and uh, and then he'll be open for questions after that. Okay, and he well, let's just wait for him.
Let's find out what he has to say for us today. Wonderful. So very good. We have done, folks, we've done a meditation and an uncircuiting. So we're not going to be doing that today. We're going to go straight in. Daniel's prepared for Machiventa. And so, Daniel, whenever you're ready.
Okay, one moment. He's definitely ready. Good day. This is Machiventa Melchizedek, your planetary manager. We are here, meaning that the celestial component of this local universe for this planet is now present and available, and we want you to know that we are here. We have been here since the beginning, before your species became apparent through evolution. We have been following your species all through the eons, and we have followed your civilization, which began approximately 20,000 years ago. And your civilization has two components. One is humanity, and then what this one calls the organizational matrix of your civilization. In the beginning of your civilization, there was no plan, no intention for its existence, no one in charge, mortals, no one in charge. No one had foreseen what would become. No one anticipated the growth of your civilization, the population, which now covers all surfaces of your planet. And unfortunately, that scenario continues. There is no one in charge. There are no leaders. There's no intention for the existence of your civilization. And no one who has organized the organizational matrix of your civilization to the extent that it is able to examine itself, to learn from its mistakes. I am the one who was here with Abraham. I taught him and his contemporaries. This was in anticipation of Christ Michael, the local universe creator, who was named himself as Jesus while he was here as a more immortal form. We have been monitoring your civilization from that time to the present. And you have gotten to the point, meaning you, your civilization, humanity, all organizations, all organizations, which includes all your business and political organizations, have gone astray. Millions of you know that something is not right. Millions of you know that your governments have the capacity to now to turn your planet into just another uninhabited asteroid in your universe, your local, excuse me, in your solar system. What is worse is that you are incapable of solving those problems and creating solutions to those problems so that you may see. This is where we have come in to this time now to become acknowledged, to become known by you. And we have a plan. That plan involves a co-creative solution finding and response with responses that are pragmatic, practical, and useful at the local level and at the national and global level. This is not a class in philosophy. This is what we're teaching you now through this webcast is the pragmatics of living with spiritual beings on your planet to resolve and solve the problems that you have, and more importantly, to create solutions for the future. If you're as old as this one, you could probably say, well, it's not going to be my problem. I'm going to be dead in a few years. But that is callous. That is cold. There's no heart in that answer. And so what we bring you to at this time is a change of culture globally. These are not out-of-the-box ideas and solutions that we're presenting to you. We are presenting you with a totally new box, something that is vastly different from the box of ideologies that began with the beginning of your civilization 20,000 years ago. We are going to create a holism with you for healing this planet and for creating kind, generous, loving conditions at all levels of society and government and the planet for each new generation. You too were children at one time, and you too were raised in families, some very positively, some very harsh and negative. And you came away from those harsh situations with what you would call PTSD episodes that you now suffer through. We want to do away with that. This new box of culture, ideas, attitudes, values will be the beginning of changing all of your social institutions in ways to create a social institutional holism. This, of course, will affect all university classes and all classes in forecasting. A first step of our plan includes informing you. We have been following the work of what you would call the correcting time, which is mounted in the saddle of the Urantia book and that culture. And from the correcting time, which is the overarching program that Christ Michael has established for the healing of this planet and the other planets in rebellion and in quarantine, who are now out of that, came the teaching mission. Its purpose was to teach individuals about the contact with spiritual beings, the administration of the local universe. You know that in the form of myself. Please don't do that. You know that from my own acquaintanceship with you. You know that we are here. One moment. As I'll reveal something as a TR. This is Daniel talking now. My wife rotated her chair, which broke my TR connection with Machiventa. And I'm very sensitive to noises and also to smells. And so those things break my contact. And so sometimes when that happens, I must say, what moment? And so then I reestablish contact. It's Machiventa. Thank you for your patience with this one. As you're beginning to realize, you are a part of the equation, if you choose. You don't have to choose. You don't have to make a choice. If you chose to do God's will, then you're part of the plan. And you must be a bit curious to be here today, to listen and to see what is going on and how we are preparing. And so you are learning that we will begin at the local level. If you simplify your existence on this planet, there's only those things which are of people and those things that are not of people. And without people, your planet is simply an unoccupied orb traveling around its star. People make the difference. And so we will begin to teach you how to develop an intention for your civilization, for your nation, and for your community, and for your family, and for your own personal life. You will begin learning new values which were never taught to you, which you have assumed would be active in your life without knowing about them. And so we have taught others about the genetic motivations of humanity, genetic motivations of your species, Homo sapiens, and that it is from these motivations that all decisions are made on your world. Many of these values you know as principles, as secondary interpretations of those primary values. And so we will teach you about this. And most importantly, we will begin to teach families how to raise functional, socially capable, competent, and responsible children who will then become your socially capable, competent, and responsible adults, office holders, corporate heads, people who design products and software that humanity will use. You must be aghast, aren't you, that your AI industry has no code of ethics that is universal to all people and timeless? AI will be here for the rest of the existence of humanity on this planet. It will become your aid to life, aid to the survival of your planet, rather than its nemesis and its curse. It is essential that the values, those decision-making motivations that saved your species in its existence for the last 200,000 years become the same values that AI uses. AI needs to assist you to survive, and not only survive, but thrive. People can then have a life of purpose, find and discover meaning in their lives. And this is what you must do now for your civilization. Thank you. If you have questions, please raise them with the facilitator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Machiventa, for that opening and giving us an idea of what the plan is. I'm thinking from the past into the present. And you have been on this planet before in human form. You took human form to visit Abraham. And then Abraham was the founder of not only a group of people, but a religious tradition. So, one of the big questions that I know we've discussed in our team is how can you explain to humanity, people that might see this interview, you're not here to establish a new religion, but a different type of relationship. Could you comment on that, please?
Most definitely. This is Machiventa. Your relationship with the presence of God that exists with you, in your mind, is a spirituality that is essential for your spiritual growth and your socialization and enculturation in ways that that benefit you and your world. Now, we are not going to establish a new religion, and we do not want to, and we will do all we can uh, to halt and to disable any efforts to establish a religion based on this webcast and the future ones and the history of the teaching mission and the correcting time. You see, religions are man-made. If you look back over the beginnings of religions, you realize that it usually began with a man, which is one deficit for a religion, and that it was ignited, that religion was ignited by a spiritual experience. You would know this as a transpersonal experience, that aha grand moment when you realize that you are in the presence of the divine. You have a God moment. And this happened to many people, many religious founders, almost all religious founders except Scientology. Christianity did not begin by Christ. Christ was a presence, the incarnated form of a divine being, Christ Michael. It was his followers, and particularly Saul of Tarsus, who became Paul, who started and initiated the Christian church. You know much about Paul already. I don't need to go into that. And so began a long history that is now in front of your face with the selection of the new Pope of the Catholic Church, a massive Christian church with many millions of people as members. You can also attribute to the beginning of Mormonism, with those individuals who had the same and similar experience. And on and on and on, you will begin to see that all of these religions began with interpretations by people who had experience as that. Now, the original experience was genuine. There is no means of denigrating that personally or even organizationally. But that is how they began. There's much more to say about this, but I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that explanation. I just want to help people understand, as we have learned, that talking to you and having a relationship with you and the Celestial Planetary Management team, while we are spiritual people and having our own connection with our thought adjusters and spirit, we're not entering into a religious relationship with you. We're entering into a co-creative relationship with you and your team in order to bring solutions to the planet. It's one of our main goals is to delineate the difference between this and a religious experience or a religious organization. So thank you so much for that explanation. Daniel Machiventa?
Yes, this is Machiventa. And if you should want to deify me and worship me and pray to me and bow down to me, I would withdraw. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that clarification. It's extremely important that our audience, future, present and future, understand this difference. Now I'm happy to go to our audience. Do any of you folks have questions for Machiventa today? Please raise your hand. Jack.
Bonjour, Machiventa. Always a pleasure to have you here with the team and those who join us today. You have already explained your program, which is clear for us. But the question, could you explain for those who are listening, what is the co-creativity, how it works, this relationship between human and celestial? Thank you.
Mrs. Machiventa, thank you for your question. The co-creative relationship is where both the mortal individual and the celestial individual are conscious of each other and have a conversation. This one has a conscious, ongoing, co-creative conversation and relationship with us. Not only myself, but dozens of other celestial beings. This was not always the case. That conversation began many decades ago when he was a young man. And he had chosen verbally, consciously, to do God's will and declared such. Not once, but many, many times. And he was curious about knowing what God's will was. And so when his life changed dramatically from him being in charge of his life and failing at many, many efforts, he finally gave up and released his life to the source, the first source and center, and to Christ Michael, Jesus, and so on. And he waited. And he asked for direction as specifics. He called them signs, symbols, and omens. Whether it was a big signboard along the highway stating something that was on his mind. And so from these things developed a yearning to have an ongoing conversation with his guardian angel, who he came to know as Leah, as he named her and was given to him. And so he would talk out loud in his quiet situations to Leah and ask her questions and never receive an answer. But the questions led to opportunities which drew him into life and where we wanted him to go. But one day, in his quiet time where he lived, she asked him a question. He was conscious of that question, and it shocked him and startled him. And so the first question was, Aaliyah, are you here? Yes. Are you a member of God's team? Yes. And you're here to help me? Yes. And so the conversation began. That was, this is Daniel. Gosh, that was 31 years ago. This is Machiventa. And so the co-creative relation begins as a personal one. We are now conversational with him, and he is conversational with many others. It is because of that freedom of conversation that we are able to guide him and this Friday's team to where they are now. We have provided individuals with particular opportunities to assist them to grow into the roles that they are playing now. And for some of the individuals, this began also many decades ago. As you may notice from our audience, these are not children. These are elders. Most of you are elders. Though there are some youngsters less than 50 years old, we suspect who will be watching this, when we hope. Does this answer your question, sir?
Completely, Machiventa, completely. But you're right. Here we are elder people. Where are the young generation? And your program is also dedicated for young generation. And this team asks often the question, how to reach these young generation, which are distracted today by the materialism and the social media, but how to reach them to look at your plan. Thank you.
Dear Jacques, I hope I don't come across as a smart aleck, but that's not our problem. That's your problem. Thank you.
Machiventa has
Thank you.
told us many times we are also part of this co-creative team, and we
Yeah.
have some responsibility to reach the other people on the planet. So we will take that back to the team and think more about that. Anyone else in the audience have a question for Machiventa? Stefan, please unmute.
Thank you for being with us today, Machiventa. We all so much appreciate it. I have a question, and I would like to ask the question up front so that you know what it is, but also give you the reason for why I'm asking the question. The question is, in a perfect world, what would our world look like? And the reason I'm asking that question is because I know that it'll be a millennium away from now, or more, possibly, way in the future. But to have our eye on the prize, to have our eye on the goal, so that we can, to some degree, reverse engineer it. If we're going to get to here, then what step has to take place? And if we're going to get to there, what step has to take place? And then we reverse engineer it all the way down to today, so that we can take these steps to get to that goal. What would that perfect world look like?
This is Machiventa. Excuse me for chuckling. We are the reverse engineers. That's why we are here. The world that you want is one of peace, one where children are raised in peaceful families, where children are not abused, where education sees its purpose as assisting individuals to make a significant incremental improvements to their individual lives and to their society and all social institutions. How do you do that? You do that one individual at a time. You begin by teaching parents, preconception parents, people who want to have children, how to raise children so that they become functional. The question you ask is relevant, but not significant. You live in a world of immense discord. Immense discord. It's on the cusp of self-destruction and, in fact, self-annihilation. We have been given the charge by our Creator Son, Christ Michael, to do exactly what you asked, to reverse engineer a society from the full-blown days of light and life back to the advent of the days of light and life, to a mature transitional era, to a midterm transitional era, to an early transitional era, and back to the local level where individuals of the correcting time who are aware of the larger parameters of the cosmology of the universe at large and locally, who want to be of assistance It comes down, Stefan, to having individuals who like what we're doing, who like what we want to do. Our efforts now, and it is yours as well, is to give each other hope, your neighbor's hope, and your alphabet soup generations hope. Millennials are disappointed in their elders, and they realize that they are going to inherit a destructive, self-destructing world, society, and organizations. So the answer to your question is to raise individuals such as yourself, such as others here, who are mature, socially responsible, capable, and competent, who understand the dynamics of their interaction at community meetings, at firehouse meetings of the community, of community planning. This is a very important aspect that you ask about, and this is our mission. Our mission, now that we have deconstructed a planet in the stages of light and life back to the present time, this is our work. And this is why we have engaged you co-creatively. The solutions that will come to your planet and to you personally and to your societies and to your nations will not be from us. We are not going to create any miracles. We're not going to save you. You're going to save yourselves with our guidance. And as you see, we're doing a pretty good job. We have you here sitting before us, and we're talking with you. You submit yourselves to God's will, and you ask how to proceed in this Friday's team. This is perfect. And we thank you for the generosity of your commitment to the Father, the first source and center, and Christ Michael, and to the God presence within you. This is the root of where you come from and your own maturity and growth. Thank you so much for your question.
Thank you, Machiventa. Thank you for your answer.
This is Daniel. He wasn't scolding you.
No, I never took it as such.
Thank you, Stefan, for that question. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Machiventa, as well. Martha, you have a question. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much, Machiventa, for being with us here today. It's been such a pleasure listening to you. I wanted to ask you if you could tell us how then celestials arrange circumstances in the lives of individuals to help them unfold divine will. Thank you.
Well, dear Martha, the hard part is convincing people, your thought adjuster convincing you to submit your will to it. Then that is the beginning. And so the curious person who is committed to that relationship with the divine source within them would ask for opportunities to lead them into the fulfillment of their life plan. Opportunities to make decisions to move forward. Now, as you know, and all members here know, that when you make a decision, that's it. We will not mess with it. We will not refute it. We will not turn it over. And that's your responsibility. So when you pray, ask for guidance, you want to know the way that is right. And of course, you want to make decisions and accept opportunities that lead you into the fulfillment of your life plan. Your life plan is such that you will be given purpose and you will discover meaning in your real life. Yes, every day you get up, the alarm clock rings or the sun comes up and you awaken and you say, hey, it's another day. to do God's will, to fulfill my life plan. And so this is the beginning. How do we do that? By presenting opportunities to you. But you are the ones who open the door for us to give you those opportunities. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Machiventa.
Thank you for that question, Martha, and thank you, Machiventa, for that answer. You bring up a very good point that I'm sure our audience here, as well as others, would like to know. The question often gets asked, one, the big question in the world for people who are non-believers in a deity is, who is God, and why aren't you fixing things, God? So you've answered part of that, and you've implicated free will. Could you just say a little bit more about who God is in your world and why free will is so important on our planet? And then we have a question from Bob. Thank you.
I don't need to think about the Bob question, okay? Please don't bring that up.
Okay.
We'll just take one thing at a
Apologies.
time.
One thing at a time. My apologies.
Okay. See, this is Daniel. When you bring up another topic, then it's lodged up here. And so my little brain goes round it, waiting for the time I'll be asked to address that question. This mind of mine is not very complicated. Okay. Please repeat the question.
Certainly. The question is, since it came up in this conversation with Martha about free will, and I know that our audience now and in the future have questions about, well, who or what is God, and why aren't you fixing things? You implicated that. And so could you please give us your take on who God is in your world and how free will, these are two separate questions. So let's start with that one. We'll start with, who is God in your world, Machiventa, and how does that implicate our planet?
That's an interesting question coming from myself, a Melchizedek. What is God in my world? One is, I don't have a world, I have a universe that I live in. And the second, God is my creator. I am a created being. I was never born. I was created perfect, but not complete. I, just as Christ Michael has done during his episodes of descending into other forms, learned by experience. And so, as a planetary manager, I have had tremendous experiences in the many hundreds of thousands of years of my life. And so, God is my creator. God is the first source and center and the creator of Christ Michael. Christ Michael is my direct creator with Father Melchizedek. And so I am here. Who is God? God is the source. God is the source of all that exists. God is the one and only. God is my source, my reference, my ultimate engagement in the ends of my own Melchizedekian life. And the second question?
Second question, if you would address the role of free will on this planet, and why is your God that you know, your first source and center, not fixing things on the planet? You implicated this with Martha's answer, but please give us more detail about the importance of human free will in the universe and why it's so significant to the correcting time and what we're experiencing. Thank you. My apologies, too much.
You fold question on question and question. Just keep it really, really simple for this stupid guy, me.
The significance of our free will. Please,
thank you.
Please
There
give
we
us your
are.
perspective.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Machiventa could handle that directly, but not through me. Very good question. This is a question that people can learn a lot from. What is the importance of self-will, personal will, And why is it sacrosanct for not being refuted or overturned when it's erroneous? And that is because of two factors. One is that you are a mortal being, you're sentient, and that you are inhabited by a fragment of God. Secondly, you live on an experiential planet. Now, of all the planets in the universe, 90% of them were created to raise responsible individuals, socially, politically, economically, familially, civilizationally, and societally, responsible individuals. And those planets are under the ongoing guidance of a plan for that planet to develop the planet so that it produces new souls who can successfully make the transition into the morontial and then the spiritual and then the universe, eternal universe. 10% of the planets in the universe are experiential planets, meaning that they were brought into existence and they are what you might call a petri dish of civilization and personal growth, so that we do not interfere in the management of a planet to see if the individuals on the planet make improvements in how their civilization comes into existence, how individuals grow into adulthood successfully, and so on. And particularly how this civilization, these societies learn from their mistakes. And from that, the creator sons can make improvements in the models of the planets that they create and the civilization that come into existence to attain the days of light and life far more easily than this civilization on this planet. You see, this planet is part of the 10%. Now, here's the unfortunate part. Some planets do not improve. Some civilizations do not learn from their mistakes. Some leaders in those planets don't even ask, what are the mistakes and how can we avoid making those same mistakes? And if you take this down to an exponential degree, you come to planets as Earth, where they're now at the point of self-destruction and the self-annihilation of their populations. Only then does the governorship, does the management of the local universe intrude into that planet and its civilization so that the civilization and the humanity is not lost. Do you see, a planet that comes into its fullness of population, as this planet has, is a tremendous asset. It is something you don't want to lose. And think of the vast amount of experience that this planet has gone through. Now, if the management of this planet and of the local universe does not assist individuals on this planet to learn from their mistakes, even in view of the vast treasures of experiences that they have had of what not to do, then we have erred tremendously. It is our job to come here and work with you. Christ Michael has seen the boon, the profit of this wonderful experience as something that can assist God the Supreme, the God of experience, to grow. And so the reward for you, for us, for God the Supreme, is your success. to use the errors of your ways to improve your scores and how to become successful as individuals, as parents, and as planetary leaders. What is the purpose of experiential learning? It is to learn, to grow, to improve, to make perfect. And so there is a tremendous hazard in this process of co-creativity. It requires a huge responsibility on your part, mortals, and requires a huge amount of patience, tolerance, and forbearance on our part to engage you to do so. Now, angels come by that naturally, but there are some of us, many of us, who are experiential learners as well. We may have been created and created perfect, but perfect learning machines. And so we have to learn how to be patient, kind, considerate, loving, generous, to assist those with less, to have more, and to become more. Your earthly philosophers who discuss becoming, they're on target. They are right there. Becoming is your chief chore. What do you want to become? Not who do you want to become, or what position you want to become, but what do you want to become? And in a universe where there is one creator who created all of this, you want to become something like that creator. Now, you asked a subtle part of the question about why the creator would let this world go astray. I hope that I have answered that. It is important that you understand your responsibilities of your citizenship as a member of the universe who is seeking God. What is phenomenal in this era of transition, early transition, is that your own scientists, subatomic particle scientists who are now involved in quantum physics, quantum mechanics, quantum particle analysis, are at the point of discovering and knowing that their thoughts can direct the course of what happens at a huge distance. And so, what is the source of that? Wasn't there, or mustn't there have been an original intention, even before the original cause, an original idea, and the discovery of self by the Creator, God? I'll leave you with a quandary about all that later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Machiventa. You have given us much to think about and chew on. The follow-up would be, to finish out this topic, is somebody might ask, well, what's in it for me when I leave here? Could you speak to our audience about the Ascension career just as briefly as possible?
Certainly. I'll be glad to. I'll be excited to. What's in it for you? Oh, that sounds like a materialist question. And by the way, you, meaning your civilization, is now coming to the end of the materialism. It is now beginning to start the post-materialist era, which is a consciousness-changing era. What's in it for you? Of course, to ask that question and seek the answer, you must also, at this time, be God-believing. Or if you're not God-believing, then if you're not God-believing and you don't want to follow that course, then there's nothing there for you. Nothing. You die, and you will have an opportunity to review your decision with a panel of Ancients of Days and others, and they will give you a choice. Well, now that you see everything that's ahead of you, do you still want to deny your progress? And if you say yes, then, my friend, you will cease to exist. And every mention of you in history will cease to exist. It will be as though you never came into existence. So what's in it for you depends on what you want in it. Do you want to continue on? Then if you do, you'd want to do God's will. You'd want to become as much as you could become. You would want to fulfill all the potential that you brought into life as a material being. And that's huge. That's really huge. What's in it for you is an ascension plan where you go from being immortal on this life, full of experience every day, and make the transition into the Morancha realm, where you be on a course of study and development and maturity and evolution, where you go through many stages as a Moranchal being to grow and to progress. When you exit this local universe and all of its schools of study, you will progress to the universe number 7, and where you will be entering into another series of classes and courses on planets. It will take you thousands, if not millions of years to complete, but all the while you be conscious of your progress, your growth, and who you're becoming. What is it like to become a creator? What are the mechanics of being a creator? You will be in laboratories, in classes, actually applying your mind and your creative energies to molecules, to atoms. You'll be formulating more organic molecules to grow and develop. And how will you do that in a spiritual being that will be a part of that creative being's your practice in your laboratory? That'll be also a very interesting experience. If you think that this planetary experience is all there is, then my friend, you are cheating yourself of a tremendous preview of all the classes, all the episodes of your life to come. Yes, this is the beginning. It's tough. You live in a tough world. Your experiences here are almost soul crushing. We thank you for your question. If this is the journey of your lifetime, thank you.
Thank you, Machiventa. And I've heard this question before, is if I have all of that to look forward to, why should I bother here with the planet that's falling apart? Why do I have to participate? You've given us some answer to that. There's naturalists, humanists that think this is all there is, and they should just participate here and not think about the ascension career. Could you address that as well, please?
Gladly. This is Machiventa. Your question is also two-sided. If you believe that all this is all there is, and you see the futility of what's going around you, and you don't see anything coming afterwards, then why do you continue to exist? You're sucking up oxygen, as kids say. Why would you do that? You're creating as much harm as you can. Why would you want to do good? You'd only want to do good if you thought there was an afterlife and a future of that to go on. If this is all there is, then why continue? What is the value of being here? It's experience. You see, for those who believe and they die and they graduate, it's much like children in high school now. They can take advanced credits for junior college and for college while they're in high school. They can enter into the second semester of their freshman year, perhaps, or even if they're really bright and talented and have done a tremendous amount of work, they can enter into their sophomore year in college. And so it is a similar parallel here, that by gaining experience and by making good decisions that benefit you and benefit others, and so on, and that then in that chain of thinking, you add credits to when you begin on the other side. That may not sound interesting. You may waver on your decisions. You may think, well, I can just be a little bit bad. And you come up to the last days of your life and you decide, well, I really want to graduate. I want to cross over and be a part of the larger scheme of things. Well, my friend, you just may end up in detention for a while. You may end up in reform school. You may have to undergo some of the pivotal decision making that you didn't make while you were immortal. You see, it's all about decisions. If decisions are sacrosanct, if they hold such a high value in this lifetime, they also hold the same value in the afterlife. And your decisions determine how you progress. Some people like to take their time getting to paradise, and so they dawdle along and going here and going there. And there's no limit to what you can do as side trips in your afterlife. It could go to planets that you had never visited before. You might want to see societies that live totally differently. Might want to see species that have a different basis of existence besides carbon and hydrogen. And you'd learn much. Just as you like to travel on your planet here to visit other cultures, and you become enculturated and far more tolerant of other cultures and other people and other races and other genders, so too you'll broaden your experience as in the afterlife, in your preparation for perhaps you'll be assigned as a creator son yourself someday. I don't know. You don't know. Many don't know. You won't know until you reach the finaliter stage and it is determined where you can be assigned. As the universe expands, there's going to be a tremendous need for more creator sons and spirit daughters. It's not just a male gender, it's about command, it's about creativity, it's about executive decision making. And so you might as well begin now. Thank you.
Machiventa, thank you so much for all of your wisdom that you have shared with us today, answering many fundamental questions that are asked upon the planet by people who are both believers and non-believers alike in Christ Michael or in deity, our first source and center. So this has been very valuable. We did have a question from the audience. Bob, you don't have your hand up. If you are still have a question for Machiventa, will you come on screen, please? And if there are any other questions for Machiventa, you guys just raise your hand, let me know. We welcome our Zoom audience here. We have folks that are on and off screen. Bob, you still have a question? I know you were having some trouble with your video, but go ahead with your audio, Bob.
You pretty much answered my question before when you covered those things about our planet and what was expected of us. My question actually was related, but maybe you could fulfill it out a little bit. That is, you asked us what hope we have for our planet. And I'd like to turn tables on you and ask, what is your hope for humanity as a Melchizedek working with us?
Did I hear you right that you were asking me what is our hope for the planet?
That's correct.
Well, my friend, I would hope that you would like to shake hands with us in a co-creative relationship to change our world. We have a lot of work to do. As your planetary manager, we have a lot of work to do. We need people who want to be effective to change their world. That is my hope. My hope is that you want to assist us in doing that. We will not do this without you, and you cannot do it alone. Your planet, your leaders have gotten to the point where they're not asking the right questions. And they are incapable, without asking those questions, of solving the problems that are everywhere around them. So the co-creative answer for your world is the answer I'm seeking. I hope you will engage in that. I hope everyone who's listening to this wants to have a co-creative relationship with us, who's willing to be led by opportunities into where they can be most effective. Now, let me go further with this. This one told you a few moments ago that the era of materialism is ending and that you are entering into a post-materialist era. Simply put, the materialist empirical era is based on quantity and objects. That's why the metric system of weights and measurements is so successful. It's applicable to everything except people. And as you go forward in hope with us, you'll become more and more centered on quality and values. This is what ethics is all about, is choosing the right course, the best course. Ethical decisions support the benefit of being human, of living on this planet, making life easier for success. And as you move away from quantity and objects, you move away from cars, houses, positions of authority, control, and power, and so on, and authority. You move into relationships, not objects, but relationships. And my hope is for you individually, you, Bob, and for all others, that you would want to grow in value in yourself and how you value yourself. Those individuals who are raised in desperate and despicable family situations know what I'm talking about. To love yourself, to look in the mirror and say, hey, John, I love you. And John is speaking to himself, looking in the mirror. My friend, that takes a lot of courage for many, many people. And it is our hope with you and thousands, millions of others that we can change it to say that the children grow up saying, looking in the mirror, I love you, Teddy. I love you, Annie. And they do. And they know why. And they have good models in their parents who show them how to love themselves without being narcissistic and selfish, egotistical. My hope for your world is a hope that your world becomes settled in days of light and life. My hope immediately is to shake hands with so many of you in peace and harmony and love, to have a good, hopeful relationship that is co-creative. That's my hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that fabulous question. Thank you, Machiventa, for sharing your hope with us as we continue to share our hope with the world. Folks, we have been going for an hour. Daniel has been transmitting Machiventa for an hour. Machiventa, any final words? You've given us so much already.
Yes, last words is keep the hope. Love one another. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel, for your time. Thank you very much to our Zoom audience. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for asking important questions. We will be back in 2 weeks with Machiventa through Daniel. We will continue on the subject of hope, start exploring the 7 core values, how they are applicable in our lives, where we're going with that. So we hope to see you all here again and hear more from Machiventa. Thank you again, and peace, everyone.
Wow. Sorry, love.